In screwed news, we know Republicans want to distract people from Paul Ryan's legislation to end Medicare as we know it by lying that President Obama, who has actually strengthened Medicare, is actually cutting it and giving the money to poor people via Obamacare. Republicans think this sort of bald-faced lie is actually a winning strategy.
We've heard a little bit about Medicare lately from the president. We want this debate, we need this debate, and we are going to win this debate about Medicare.
So here's how that's all a lie. The president's cuts, or I should say streamlines, don't actually affect any benefits for seniors and are primarily targeted at waste, fraud, and abuse in the program, mostly by the big insurance and drug companies. And by eliminating that waste, fraud, and abuse, Medicare remains solvent for an extra 8 years, all the way out to 2024 instead of 2016, where it was before. In other words, if Romney and Ryan are pledging to undo President Obama's Medicare reforms, and they are pledging to do just that, then the solvency of Medicare is cut short by 8 years. So what do they propose to do instead? Well, now they're suggesting the one thing President Obama didn't do, and that's to cut benefits. Cue Romney advisor Ed Gillespie talking about this issue on Sunday.
What are you going to do to keep the solvent between 2016, after you've repealed Obamacare, and 2023?
Well, Chris, there are other reforms as well. As you know, Governor Romney supports gradually increasing over time, bringing the Medicare eligibility age in line with the Social Security retirement age. Secondly,
Right, increase the retirement age. In other words, cut benefits. So is this Medicare debate really as winnable as Paul Ryan claims, especially when his team is running on a platform to cut benefits in Medicare and then later get rid of the program altogether? Here to answer that is Neal Asbury, host of the Truth for America radio show and author of the book Conscientious Equity. Neal, welcome back.
Hey, Tom, thanks for having me.
Hey, Neal, I just lost my audio. I can't hear anything. There we go. Okay. Neal, on the one side, we have President Obama, who extended the life of Medicare without cutting any benefits. On the other side, we got Romney and Ryan, who want to voucherize Medicare and cut benefits. Why does Paul Ryan think he can win this debate?
It's absolutely winnable, Tom. There's just been so much distortion and demagoguery. First of all, the reform doesn't affect anyone 55 and older. And then there's a voucher system, which is an option, and you can opt in to keep everything the way that they are. So, we should.
So if you're under 55, you've been say you're 54 years old, for 30 years you've been paying into Medicare, and you're just screwed. Now you're going to get a voucher, and you can go to a big insurance company and beg them for something. You know, Republicans, Ronald Reagan cut a recording back in 1964 calling Medicare socialism. The Republicans have been opposed to Medicare from day one. And what you're describing, it sounds to me, Neal, like what you're describing is, let's phase it out in 2 steps. You know, we'll phase it out for the young people first, and then when the old people die off, there'll be nothing left.
But, Tom, I mean, how do you explain that Romney's percentage of young people is up 10 points since Ryan has been announced to be his VP candidate?
Well, I think because Ryan's a young guy who's
because
you know,
the young people believe that. The young people believe that the Ryan plan will have something left for them when they get of age to take something out. Tom, you are a successful entrepreneur, and you know that that you can't just keep taking out all of these funds and not putting anything back in. It just won't work.
Neal, if what you are saying is true, I'm really baffled, because the Ryan plan increases costs on average $6,000. It raises the retirement age. According to his, in his own district, Ryan's plan would eliminate new preventative care benefits for 112,000 Medicare beneficiaries in his own district. It would increase prescription drug costs for 9,700 Medicare beneficiaries who are in the donut hole, forcing them to pay an extra $95 million for drugs over the next decade. I mean, how can he sell this without just lying and saying that he's not doing what he's doing?
Well, Tom, first of all, the Ryan plan came out of a Clinton bipartisan commission to save
that doesn't make it right.
Medicare, and it was well, it came out of a Democratic presidency's administration. We all know that we're headed for this.
I don't believe it.
Right
and B,
now
even if it did, it doesn't matter. I can't believe that Bill Clinton would have ever said, "Oh yeah, let's turn Medicare over to the big insurance companies."
But it did, and how do you explain Congressman Wyden as being one of the co-writers of this bill?
Ron Wyden
truth.
he made the mistake of attaching his name to a small piece of this legislation. At that time, on the air, I called him out and I said, and I know Ron White, he's my senator for years, and I said, he's playing the role of useful idiot. He has no idea how badly he's going to be used for this. One Democrat in all of America got on board with Ryan in a partial way, and you're reciting his name.
But Tom, how do you explain that Obamacare is still very much despised by the American people? Nearly 60% of the people want it repealed.
Not true,
so
Neal. When you talk about the name, people don't like it. You're right.
Which American
but when you talk about the benefits, people love it. Anyhow, Neal,
well, they're certainly not showing up in the polls.
Okay,
hey, Tom, thanks.
we got to wrap it up. We will find out. Yeah, come November, we'll definitely know. Neal Asbury, thanks so much for being with us.
Hey, Tom, thanks for having me.